impossible to please God. But instead, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And so he hands the cup to us. And it is a sweet cup. It's a wonderful cup. It's a cup that brings salvation. It's a cup that brings the promise for all eternity to be with him for those who choose to drink. It's a wonderful cup. But that cup also has bitterness and sacrifice and suffering. When I was little, I remember my mom had a cup full of what I thought was Pepsi Cola sitting on the table. And I was just little. I'm talking little. 4 or 5. And I ran up to that cup because I love me some Pepsi Cola. And it was a good commodity in my house. I mean, we didn't hardly get Pepsi Cola, but buddy, when we had it, I was all over it. So I ran up to that cup. I'm 4 years old, 5 years old, and I picked that big old cup up and I took a big old swallow. And there was indeed Pepsi in there, but there was also some rum. Boy, that Pepsi's really sweet if it's by itself, but inside of that cup wasn't just Pepsi. Have you ever had some rum? I know y'all good saint and holy Christians, right? Amen. Amen. I've had it when I was 4. Amen. It's bitter. It doesn't taste good. And guess what? I spit it out as quick as I put it in. That's why we're told in the Bible to count the cost. Because if you come to the table and think you're just going to drink out of the cup and it's going to be nothing but sweetness, like a nice cold Pepsi, you're in for a rude awakening. Because this life is a life of suffering. He said, in this world you will have trials, you will have struggles, you will have tribulation, you will have troubles. You might not be able to pay your mortgage one day. You might not be able to put food on the table one day. Nothing is promised. He said he'll take care of what you need, your needs. But he didn't say he'd give you everything that you wanted and everything you desired here. Instead, he said, in this world, you will have trouble and tribulation. But he didn't stop there. He said, but take heart, for I have overcome the world. Despite the bitterness that is in the cup, and I'm not telling anybody go home and have a rum and Coke. Despite the bitterness that is in that cup, if you will drink it, along with the bitterness comes the sweetness. So is that cup sweet or is it bitter? And the answer is yes. Count the cost, he says. Paul says here in the scriptures we just read, examine yourself. Check out your life. Are you feeling like you're sacrificing because you can't afford to get a manicure because gas is going up to $2.60? That's not suffering. You're not suffering for the Lord because you can't get your hair cut. I'm not picking on the ladies. I'm picking on anybody. You can't afford, this is me, you can't afford an NFL Sunday ticket this year. Oh, I'm suffering, Lord. I have a friend, I can't tell you his name, but he smuggles Bibles into Iran. Did you hear what I said? He smuggles Bibles into Iran. I'm talking as much baggage as they'll let him take into the country. He'll smuggle them in. Guess how he signs his letters and his emails? Living to die. Do you think he knows about the cost? Do you think he grapples and understands somewhat of the sacrifice? Living to die. Because he knows that one day that's his destiny. He's been caught many, many, many times. There is a $1 million, it's equivalent, this is no joke, there is an equivalent of $1 million warrant on his head. You think he knows the cost? You better believe it. But this fellow's faith, he's about 35, what is he, 40 years old, Dinah? About 40 years old now. 40 years old, been doing this probably 15 years. Smuggling Bibles in all the time. with death always around the corner. And when you meet this guy, he'll come to churches. When he comes home, he'll come to churches to try to raise money and get Bibles sent over there and deliver more Bibles. When he comes home, he's so energetic and so alive and so full of God. And he signs his letters, living to die. Because inside of that cup that he drinks from, he does have all the blessings that are promised. Even though he is fully cognizant that inside of that cup is the bitterness that is held in this world. But he remembers, take heart. This world is not your home. You're just passing through. Take heart, I have overcome the world. It's often we say, why, Lord, why? Why do bad things happen? Why is this so bitter? Why are these troubles hurting? What's going on? What am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong necessarily. You're a part of a fallen world that's dying and decaying. Can you drink from the cup? I was in Iceland and I was serving there. I was an enlisted fellow then. Worked on F-15s, as your bulletins say. That's my baby, F-15s. Baddest fighter aircraft in the world. Forget these new modern fighters. F-15, baby. I'm in Iceland and that's my job in the military, but I'm working with the chapel there as an enlisted man, and every waking moment I have, I'm devoting my time to the chapel. And there was a young Christian girl. She just given her life to the Lord not too long since, and she learned of somebody that was coming back from the war that had some sickness, and he was coming back, and he had to make a stop in Iceland for some medical care. So they had him downtown Reykjavik, Iceland. Has anybody been to Iceland? Anybody? I see one hand. Man, don't listen to what they tell you. It's beautiful. There's snow, and it's cold, but it's pretty. So anyways, it's the wintertime. Yeah, like, when isn't it the wintertime in Iceland? I got pictures of us playing. The sun, I'm going to hold you a minute. It's going to be good, though. It'll be worth it. Shoney's will still be open. The sun in the summertime comes up and stays up, and it doesn't ever go down in Iceland. It's 24 hours a day of light. And in the winter, it's the exact opposite. The sun will come on and just crest like it's dawn or dusk, and it'll just go back down. And I've got pictures of us playing golf at 3 o'clock in the morning in Iceland, and the sun's right in the middle of the sky. It's pretty cool. I played golf above the Arctic Circle. How many guys do you know that done that? Amen. Anyways, this is winter now in Iceland, and it's dark all the time, and it's snowing a lot. And they only plow the main roads in Iceland. They don't plow the roads in the city, even in Reykjavik. They don't plow the back roads, like 1st Street, 2nd Street. They don't plow those roads. They just plow the main roads. So if you live on the back road in there, what they do is they trudge through the snow, and hopefully some big four-wheeler, which they have a lot of over there, will make a pathway through the snow. And they'll clear you just drive in the ruts. Everybody just drives in the ruts from the big four-wheel tires. Well, we're on our way to the hospital. Me and this young Christian girl, as I said, she just gotten saved. We're going to see this fella who's in the hospital sick, to minister to him. So we're driving through these back roads in Iceland, trying to get to this hospital. And I'm stuck in those ruts, and I'm running pretty good. And then all of a sudden, my tire catches the edge of the snow. And it was just, I'm not going very fast, but it just sucked me right off of the road and into a parked car. So here I am in Iceland, and 95% of the population that live in Iceland speak English. But apparently, the 5% of the population that didn't speak English lived on this road. Because here I am, I just hit an Icelander's car with my car. I didn't do any damage to my car, but I think I busted their turn signal or their headlight or something. And so I'm knocking doors with this young Christian. Here I am trying to be holy and sanctified and not throw a fit because I just got in a car wreck. We're going door to door, and these apartments are tight in Iceland. They just cram them in. Door to door. Everybody that answers the door, none of them are speaking English. So finally, we got to this house, and the lady came out, and she didn't speak English, and it was kind